Hey everyone, and welcome back.
For today's deep dive,
We're going to be tackling something that...
I know a lot of you are thinking about,
Okay.
especially with Sober October in full swing
It's alcohol.
and the growing trend of sobriety. We're basing this exploration on a recent Daily Mail article,
That really caught my eye.
and it's less about, and more about uncovering the potential benefits of cutting back or even quitting.
Altogether, and how to actually make it stick.
Because we all know good intentions only get you so far.
Exactly.
What's so striking about this article is that it highlights a real shift, I think.
And how we're talking about alcohol.
Like, the article quotes scientists who are straight up calling alcohol a neurotoxic carcinogen.
A substance that can damage the brain and potentially cause cancer.
Yeah, that definitely got my attention.
Not exactly light reading,
Yeah,
but does make you stop and think.
it does. It makes you think.
And for a lot of people, it's leading to some serious rethinking of their drinking habits.
The article mentions that participation in Sober October 2024
Is at an all-time high.
Oh, wow.
It seems like more and more people are taking a step back and saying,
Okay, maybe this deserves a closer look.
right.
It's like a collective aha moment.
Yeah. It's
And
not just happening in our living rooms either.
the article points out that celebrities are increasingly open about their sobriety journeys.
We're talking big names like Kate Moss,
Lily Allen
Adele, even Brad Pitt.
and Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And this visibility is actually really important.
Seeing these influential figures embrace sobriety helps to chip away at the stigma.
That's often associated with it.
It normalizes the conversation and makes it easier for others to say,
Hey, this is something I'm exploring too.
yeah,
And of course, there's the whole sober girl movement taking social media by storm.
right.
It's definitely become a cultural phenomenon.
So if you're feeling that nudge,
To re-examine your relationship with alcohol,
you're definitely part of something big.
you are.
But here's the question
How do you actually make a change?
that lasts.
Right.
The Daily Mail article lays out 14 tips to help ditch the drink.
And some of them are pretty eye-opening.
The first one, which might seem obvious but is worth emphasizing.
Is complete abstinence.
Right, and the article quotes Lucy Rocca, a sober coach.
Who really drives this point home.
Rocca believes that a total break from alcohol
Even for those who consider themselves moderate drinkers,
is essential to truly understand how alcohol affects you individually.
it's about hitting the reset button on your habits and your relationship with alcohol.
I like that analogy.
It's like clearing the cache on your computer.
A fresh start.
Exactly.
And speaking of fresh starts,
The next tip the article highlights is identifying your why.
this is about finding your personal motivation.
For wanting to cut back or quit drinking,
It could be anything.
Okay.
Better sleep,
reduced anxiety,
weight loss,
a health scare.
even just avoiding those embarrassing moments we've all experienced after one too many.
And the article provides some great examples of compelling whys.
One that really resonated with me was someone who decided to quit.
After realizing how much alcohol was affecting their sleep,
They weren't getting that deep restorative sleep.
and it was impacting their energy and mood throughout the day.
Once they quit, they were amazed by how much better they felt.
It's so powerful when you can connect your decision.
To a tangible personal benefit like that,
It makes it much easier to stay committed.
especially when those cravings hit.
Absolutely.
And speaking of cravings,
The next tip is a bit more.
unconventional.
Oh.
The article suggests writing a Dear John letter to alcohol,
Yes. This one might sound a little out there.
but there's a real psychology behind it,
It's about acknowledging the role alcohol has played in your life,
both good and bad.
but ultimately making a conscious decision to move on.
The article even suggests some language you could use.
Like,
I loved you and we had so much fun together, but you're just not fun anymore.
wow.
It's a way to create that symbolic break.
And solidify your commitment to change.
It's like closing a chapter.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're not just trying to ignore the problem.
You're actively choosing to walk away from it,
And this leads us to the next tip.
which is telling someone you trust.
About your decision to cut back or quit drinking.
The power of accountability,
I think that's so crucial.
especially in the early stages.
It really is.
Sharing your goal with someone else
Someone who supports you and understands your reasons.
makes you more likely to stick with it,
It's like having a built-in cheerleader.
and a gentle reminder when you might be tempted to slip up,
Plus, it opens the door for them to check in with you,
and offer encouragement.
which can be so valuable,
It's like having a sobriety buddy.
even if they're not going through the same thing themselves.
Right.
Okay, on to some more practical advice.
Tip number 5 is all about removing temptation.
Clear the house of any alcohol.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Exactly.
Especially during those first couple of weeks when cravings can be the strongest.
If you don't have it readily available, you're less likely to give in.
It's about setting yourself up for success.
By creating an environment that supports your goals.
It's about removing those easy triggers.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
The rise of alcohol-free alternatives.
The article talks about how there's been a surge
In delicious and sophisticated zero-alcohol beers.
Spirits and mixers.
Hitting the market.
It's true.
And this is a game changer for so many people.
The article quotes Janie Lee Grace,
A holistic sober coach.
who emphasizes the importance of having a ritual.
To replace that after-work drink or weekend wind down.
Yes, she says.
Your subconscious mind will be primed for reward. So make sure you've got a great grown-up soft drink chilling in the fridge.
Then pour it into a fancy glass, sit back and enjoy.
That's such a great point.
It's about recreating that feeling of treating yourself.
Even without the alcohol.
Right.
And these alcohol-free beverages are getting so good
That you can really indulge in the experience.
without feeling like you're missing out.
There are even alcohol-free bars popping up in some cities.
Now that's something I'd love to check out.
It speaks to a larger trend of people wanting to socialize and have fun.
Without feeling pressured to drink.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the next tip.
Which is all about filling your newfound free time with alternative activities.
Think about all that time and energy you used to spend.
On drinking or recovering from drinking.
Now you could use it to explore new hobbies,
Pursue creative passions.
connect with loved ones.
Or just prioritize things that bring you joy.
It's like opening up a whole world of possibilities.
I know someone who decided to learn how to play the guitar after quitting drinking.
And now he's in a band.
Wow.
It's amazing to see how people are using that reclaimed time to enrich their lives.
Absolutely.
And along those lines, the article also talks about creating a sober toolkit.
Which I think is such a brilliant idea.
Tell me more about that.
What exactly does a sober toolkit entail?
This is actually a concept from Janie Lee Grace
She suggests assembling a collection of resources
that can help you stay grounded and positive.
during moments of temptation or when you're feeling overwhelmed.
This could be anything.
Okay.
Essential oils,
A gratitude journal,
inspiring books,
podcasts, even crystals.
whatever helps you center yourself and tap into your inner strength.
It's like having a personal arsenal of coping mechanisms.
Tailored to your individual needs.
Exactly.
It's about proactively equipping yourself with tools.
That can help you navigate the challenges of sobriety,
And speaking of challenges, let's talk about those inevitable social situations.
where you might be offered a drink.
Okay, let's hear it.
What's the best way to handle those tricky moments?
The article recommends having a prepared script ready to go.
It doesn't have to be anything complicated.
A simple, confident, I'm not drinking right now will do,
The key is to practice it beforehand.
so that you feel comfortable and assertive when the situation arises,
It's about taking control of the narrative.
right? Instead of feeling pressured to explain yourself,
You're stating your choice clearly and confidently. And this leads to the next tip.
which is all about using positive language.
When you're talking about your decision to reduce or eliminate alcohol,
Instead of saying giving up, use quitting or ditching.
it might seem like a small distinction, but it frames sobriety as a choice you're making.
Not a sacrifice.
It's empowering.
You're taking charge of your health and well-being,
And it's not something you have to do alone.
right? The article emphasized the importance of finding your sober community.
Absolutely.
You're not in this alone.
There are tons of online groups,
Meetups and events
even alcohol-free parties.
popping up everywhere.
Millie Gooch
The founder of the Sober Girl Society
is quoted in the article talking about boozeless burlesque.
and bottomless non-alcoholic brunches.
That sounds so fun.
It's about reclaiming the social experience and proving that you can have a blast without alcohol.
Exactly.
And it's about finding your tribe.
People who support your journey and understand what you're going through,
This sense of community can be incredibly powerful.
especially when you're navigating those early stages of sobriety.
It's so inspiring to see how people are finding connection and support in these sober spaces.
Okay, on to another tip that I thought was particularly clever.
The article suggests giving those pesky cravings a name.
Instead of saying,
Ugh, I really want a glass of wine right now.
you could say,
The wine witch is back.
it sounds a little silly.
But it's actually a really effective technique
It's about personifying that little voice in your head.
that's trying to sabotage your efforts.
By giving it a name, you create some distance between yourself and the craving.
It's like you're taking away its power, right?
You're not identifying with it
You're
anymore.
observing it as something separate from yourself.
Exactly.
And the article suggests that by calling it out by name,
You can even start to laugh at it a little bit.
which can help to diffuse the intensity of the craving.
It's like,
Oh, there you are again, wine witch.
not falling for your tricks today.
Okay, now on to a concept that I have to admit I hadn't heard of before.
Fading effect bias.
Yeah, this is a fascinating one.
Fading effect bias, or FAB.
Is the tendency to downplay past drinking problems over time.
It's like our brains trick us into thinking it wasn't that bad.
That we had it under control.
Which can be really dangerous, right?
Because it can lead to relapse.
Absolutely.
The article uses a really relatable example to illustrate this.
Well, imagine you're trying to lose weight.
And you have this amazing day where you stick to your diet perfectly,
You feel so proud of yourself.
but then a few weeks later,
You remember that day.
and the memory of how hard it was starts to fade.
You just remember the feeling of accomplishment.
So you might start to think,
Well, maybe it wasn't that hard after all.
maybe I can have just one cheat day.
Right.
And that's how FAB can sabotage your efforts
It can make you forget the struggles you went through.
and convince you that you're stronger than you actually are.
So, how do you combat this?
How do you stay aware of FAB?
And prevent it from derailing your progress?
The article stresses the importance of staying connected to your why.
Why did you decide to cut back or quit in the first place?
What were those negative consequences you were experiencing?
Keeping those reasons at the forefront of your mind.
Can help you resist the temptation to minimize the past.
It's about reminding yourself of the real stakes, right?
Exactly.
And it's also about being honest with yourself about your vulnerabilities.
Don't fall into the trap of thinking,
I've got this in cure.
sobriety is an ongoing journey.
And it requires constant vigilance.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
And speaking of marathons,
It's important to remember that even the most seasoned runners stumble sometimes.
the article offers some really reassuring advice about slip-ups.
Because, let's face it,
They happen.
we're all human.
Absolutely.
The article quotes Lucy Rocca again.
Who says,
Give yourself a couple of days for the feelings of anguish to subside and then go back to step one and start again.
that's such an important message.
It's about self-compassion and understanding that setbacks are a normal part of the process.
Right.
It's not about beating yourself up over a mistake.
It's about learning from it and using it as an opportunity to strengthen your resolve,
It's about getting back on that horse.
even if you fall off a few times.
Okay, before we move on.
The article includes a really important note about potential risks.
Associated with sudden alcohol cessation.
Yes, this is crucial for anyone who might be clinically dependent on alcohol,
Stopping abruptly can be dangerous.
and even life-threatening in some cases.
The article recommends taking an online quiz at www.alcoholchange.org.uk.
To assess your level of dependence.
That's a great resource.
It's always better to be safe than sorry, right?
Absolutely.
And if you have any concerns at all,
The article strongly emphasizes the importance of consulting a doctor or a local alcohol service
we can provide guidance and support.
to help you safely navigate the process of reducing or eliminating alcohol.
So please, if you're thinking about making a change.
Do your research and seek professional help if you need it.
Now onto a more fun topic.
The article highlights some really cool technology that can help with this journey.
Yes, there are some incredible alcohol tracking apps available these days.
These apps can help you monitor your drinking,
Set goals,
track your progress.
and even identify triggers.
It's like having a personal sobriety coach right in your pocket.
Exactly.
And some of these apps are really sophisticated.
They can track units,
Calories,
sleep patterns.
mood, even cravings,
The article mentions a few examples.
like Try Dry
My Drink Aware.
and Reframe.
Have you had a chance to check any of these out?
I've actually been playing around with Try Dry.
And I'm really impressed.
It's not just about tracking your drinks.
It also provides motivational content
Challenges.
and even connects you with a supportive community of people.
Who are also trying to cut back or quit drinking.
That's awesome.
It's like having a whole support system built into the app.
So it sounds like these apps can be a really valuable tool.
For anyone who's serious about making a change
But ultimately, it comes down to your own personal commitment.
and finding the strategies that work best for you.
Exactly.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to sobriety.
The key is to experiment
Find what resonates with you.
and build a plan that you can stick with.
It's been a really eye-opening conversation so far.
We've covered a lot of ground.
From the science behind alcohol's effects,
To the cultural shifts around sobriety.
practical tips for ditching the drink.
And even some cool tech tools that can help along the way.
Yeah, and through it all,
The biggest takeaway for me is that there's no one right way to approach sobriety,
What matters is finding what works for you.
whether that's complete abstinence.
Mindful moderation or something in between.
It's about tuning into your own needs and goals.
I totally agree.
And what's so inspiring is that there are so many resources and communities out there to support you on this journey.
It's not something you have to figure out alone.
Exactly.
And that brings us back to that all-important question we touched on earlier. What's the most compelling reason you want to reduce or eliminate alcohol from your life?
What positive changes do you envision for yourself?
It's a powerful question to reflect on.
Is it about improving your physical health,
Boosting your mental clarity,
strengthening your relationships?
or simply reclaiming your time and energy for things that truly matter?
Whatever your why is,
Hold on to it.
let it be your guiding light as you navigate the ups and downs of this journey.
And remember, every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory worth celebrating.
Beautifully said.
This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences as well.
What resonated with you the most?
What are your biggest takeaways?
Share your insights in the comments below.
And let's keep this conversation going.
Until next time.
Stay curious and keep exploring.